Oh my goodness, this is filming a video in deadline season for you. Formally apologise for my appearance and the fact that I haven't even washed my hair. Oh dear. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm a final year student at the University of Liverpool, and you're a fan of my YouTube channel. I mostly make university and lifestyle content. That's mostly what goes on over here. I promise it's a fun time, please stick around. Today I'm going to be giving you all my tips and tricks for budgeting at university, because budgeting as a student can be quite difficult, so I thought that I would share my tips to make it a little bit easier for you. A little disclaimer before I hop into the video. I know money can be a very sensitive topic for some people and everyone's in different financial positions, and I'm not in any way saying that what I do is the best thing to do. What works for me that might not work for someone else, and what works for someone else might not work for me, etc. So this is just a very general video. So my first tip is to set up a student bank account. This is so easy to do and most banks have student bank accounts and they come with their own perks. Some people give you 6 months free trials of stuff. Mine gave me a free rail card, so they're definitely worthwhile setting up. I recommend doing this because it keeps your student finance separate to all of your other money. Say you've got a job or you're saving up some money, you don't want to have all that money together because then you don't really know how much you've got to spend. So I really recommend getting all your student finance set into one account, and then you just know exactly how much you've got for the semester. I really recommend using Monzo. I'm not sponsored by them, I just really enjoy plugging them. You just download the app and they set the account up for you and send you a card in the post, so it's super easy. And they also separate your money so that you can see exactly what you're spending on and see where you need to make cuts or where you can afford to spend a little bit more in places. So it's really useful. And you can also set up different saving pots. So if there's something specific you want to save up for, like a uni trip, or some of your mates want to go somewhere in the summer, you can separate money so that you can keep that out of the way and you don't touch it. And you can also lock it. This is a really good feature that I use because I'm really bad at moving money around. So once it's locked in, it's, you know, a bit of a hassle to unlock it, so it's a very good saving technique. They also don't have exchange rates, so wherever you travel to, it's the same cost to use it anywhere, so this is really good if you're someone who really enjoys travelling or if you're studying outside of your home country. I also really urge you to keep yourself accountable. Make sure that you check your money often, because if you don't look at your bank account at all and have no idea how much you're spending, then you might find that you've overspent and suddenly you're stuck and you're like, oh no, I've run out of money. So keep on top of it, check in on it every week or so and just make sure that you're on track. You get your student finance in quite a hefty sum at the beginning of each semester, so I really recommend getting this sent to your student bank account. And then what I do is I divide how much I've got left by the amount of weeks that I have, and then I set up a standing order and get that money sent to my Monzo account every week, so they have a set amount for the week that I can't go over. This is really handy. I find it works really well for me and I can't overspend or go into my overdraft, so it's pretty good. If you live near budget supermarkets like Aldi and Lidl, utilise this. Try and do your big shops at these supermarkets because it will save you quite a lot of money in the long run. Even if it is just a couple of pounds cheaper, it's a few extra pounds that you have to spend. You can get the majority of the same thing from these shops, but if you know that you can get something else from somewhere cheaper, or Aldi or Lidl doesn't stock it, then you can always run into the other shops and get those bits and pieces. But I really recommend doing your bigger shops at these budget stores. Also try and cut your amount of shopping. Try and just go once or twice a week, because if you find yourself going every day, you'll probably overspend and end up with a lot of waste. You'll probably be spending a fair bit of time on campus, so try not to spend money on meal deals every day. I promise you do not need them, as yummy as they are. Meal deals are so tempting because they're about £3, but this is a small cost that really adds up. So try and take your own lunches where you can, because it's also a little bit healthier for you and it saves you so much money. Just invest in some Tupperware, and if you've got any leftovers from the night before, or if you like to meal prep, it's just something that you can take with you and don't have to worry about spending any more money. Also, with your dinners, try and meal prep, because eating for one is so difficult. It's really annoying and can lead to a lot of waste. So if you can, try and prepare multiple meals at once. This is really good because then you don't have a lot of waste left, and it also speeds up your time later in the week when you can just pop something in the oven for 20 minutes and go about your day. Also, if you have a lot of bulk meals, you can put some in the fridge and take them for lunch the next day. If you live with housemates, try and share your costs. It just makes good sense that if everyone's using something, you share it. Try not to be a pushover and be the person that's always going to get stuff and be like, oh no, don't worry about paying me back, because that cost will add up, and if everyone's using it, then why not share the cost? If you feel that you need to, you could make a rota, so when someone buys it, you can tick it off and you can see when it's your turn to buy something or who hasn't done it in a while, and then you're not tracking everyone down to owe you money or anything. But if you don't really need this and you have a bit more common sense, you can just see that something has run out and pop the shops and get some more if you haven't done it in a while. It just makes a lot of sense. Don't go overboard and overpay for drinks on a night out, because it's not worth it. On nights out, I always take cash. I have like a £20 note on me, and then once that's gone, and that means that I know exactly how much I can spend on a night out, and I'm not waking up the next day like, oh my god, did I spend that much? It's just a good thing to do. My advice for this is to also try and stack up on pre-drinks. If you drink a little bit more before you get out, by the time you're out, you don't need to drink as much and you won't need to spend as much money, so that makes it a little bit easier for you. I mean, I'm not pushing alcohol on you guys, but this is just a good tip. If you're someone who is going to be using public transport quite a bit, I recommend getting a 16 to 25 rail card. These are, I think, £30, and like I said earlier, some student bank accounts will send them to you for free when you set up your account, so it's a win. If you're worried that you won't make that £30 back, you definitely will in just a couple of trips. It's so worth it, and it takes off quite a bit of money. And if you're someone who's going to be using the train when you want to go home, or if you've got friends who live in different cities and you want to go visit them, then you're probably going to be using the trains a lot and you'll definitely want to save a bit of money. I also recommend looking at the slower trains. For example, if you're going to London, there's some trains that have every single stop in the country, but they're nice and slow, but they're cheap. So if you don't have to be somewhere in a rush, try and get these trains. I know they're so annoying, but they're significantly cheaper than getting the fast trains. Utilise your student discount. I don't feel like I need to tell you guys this, but some people might not know about student discounts, so I'm going to say it anyway. When you're a student, you can set up a uni days account, or I think Student Beans is another good one, and you can get at least 10% off most stores, sometimes more, so it's definitely worth knowing. Always try and see if you can get a discount before you place an order, because most of the times you can, and even if it is just a couple of pounds, sometimes it makes it seem like your delivery is free. So don't know what that noise was. If you can avoid spending money on transport, do. If you can walk, do it, because buses are another small cost that add up. It can be around £2 a ticket, and if you do this every day, you'll find yourself spending about £10 on bus tickets, and it's just not that necessary a cost. If you're new to a city, walking around it can be a really good way to get to know it, and you might find that you get a little bit fitter and you might enjoy it. I've been a little bit guilty of getting the bus more this year, as I live further out of town and I don't have to go into town as much, so when I do, I'm a bit like, oh, I could get the bus. But if you don't have to do it, or you're not in a rush, it's probably better for you to walk, and it will save you money in the long run. If you feel like you can, you could look at getting a part-time job. I know a fair few students do this. This is a good thing to do if you just need that extra bit of money. It also can be a way to meet new people if you're in a new city. But obviously this is very dependent on the course that you do. Different courses can be really demanding. You could have an experience like me where everywhere that you apply to rejects you. Apparently I'm not qualified to be a waitress. If you can get a job, try and get a 0 hours contract, as this means that you're not tied down to it and you can go home for the holidays, as sometimes they do try and keep you up until like Christmas Eve, and this can be really irritating, especially if you don't live locally. So 0 hours just basically means that you're not accountable to doing any set hours a week. So this is definitely handy when you're a student. I have managed to work on things like uni open days as a student ambassador. This pays quite well. I think in first year I had my room open so people could come and have a look around my room, and I think they paid me about £10 an hour for it, and did that for 2 days. So that was a good weekend's work. And also you can just be someone who shows people around campus or talks to people on the open days. It's fairly easy work and it pays quite well, so try and get in on those when you can. But obviously jobs very much depend on your situation, and it's not something that you have to do, but if you do feel you need the extra money, it's definitely worth looking at. And my last tip is be financially prepared for Freshers Week. Something that isn't common knowledge is that your student finance doesn't actually come in until after Freshers Week. I think this is a tactical move from the government so that we don't put all of our money on drinks and surviving Freshers Week, but you probably won't have any money in Freshers Week. So if you can, try and work the summer before uni. What I did is I had a part-time job and I just took my tips, put them in a pot, and then I used that money to get me through Freshers Week. It got me on my nights out, it got me my first few shops, and it's just a little start-up costs of uni, if you might say. If you're in a position to, you could maybe borrow some money from your parents as a loan, just to get you through that first week, but definitely be prepared to have a little bit of money aside to get you through that time where you don't have your student finance. I think a lot of people do get hit by this and calling their parents like, I have no money. So yeah, be prepared that you will have to wait a couple of weeks for your student finance to come in. But yeah, try and be prepared for those little costs at the beginning of uni before your finance comes in. Because I know a few people that have got to that stage and realised that they've gone into their overdraft already. And that's another bit of advice, is try not to go into your overdraft unless you absolutely need to, because once you go into it, it can be quite difficult to get out of it. And most banks, I think, after uni, you have a certain amount of time to get out of it. So it's not the end of the world if you do, but don't depend on it too much because it isn't actually your money. So be careful there. And there you have it. Those are my top tips for budgeting as a university student. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I provided some useful information for you and some tips that you feel you can utilise. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to me, it would mean so much. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you again very soon with another video. Bye bye!